welcome back to our Touch Base podcast. I am excited about today's episode. We've got a lot of great things for you. I hope you guys are enjoying all of the different department highlights, the different leaders that we've gotten to have on, and the different things that are going on, not just across Madera Residential, but across all of the Madera companies. Today is going to be no different as we highlight the Vice President of Construction for Madera Residential, Josh Vandenburg. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I don't know that everybody knows this, but you don't live in Lubbock, so you got a chance to travel in, right? And so how long have you been based in the Dallas area?
I've been in Dallas now for DFW area for 21 years.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
And so you office out of the Frisco group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very cool.
I mean, I'm in the office as often as I can be, but I'm on the road a lot as well. So touching base on our sites as much as I can, and traveling to Houston, coming to Lubbock as much as I can. I'd love to be in the corporate office as often as I can. Having FaceTime with people, I think is important.
So you mentioned the 21 years out of Dallas. So tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of, maybe anything personally you want to share, but then also definitely some work history, how you got to Madera.
For sure. So what brought me to the DFW Metroplex was I went to TCU. So born and raised in El Paso, so I've got a little bit of West Texas roots on my side. So, went to TCU and graduated with a real estate finance degree and got into the workforce immediately after graduation. But what a lot of people don't know, I mean, I've been in this industry, multifamily industry, for over 20 years.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know this, but I started on the maintenance side doing make-readies and
very cool.
And then got into the leasing side, and then when I got my my path on the real estate finance, I started working in asset management, and then graduated and went directly into acquisitions and underwriting. And so, multifamily has been in my blood for my entire life, it feels like.
Yeah, you've seen
professional life.
I mean, you've seen so many different angles of the multifamily industry.
Yeah, and I've been a part of them. So from acquisitions, was a part of the 2008 crash, and so we focused a lot of our time and energy on operations, and so I transitioned from an acquisitions guy and underwriting, and to actually having to perform on my underwriting, which is challenging. So it gives you a different feel of the challenges that the operations team has. They've got to perform on a number that in order for our investors to realize their returns, you've got to perform on those numbers. So.
Well, I was going to say, I really like that you have the operator side and the acquisitions and investment side, just simply because you can bring those worlds together and fill some gaps that I think sometimes we might miss.
That's exactly right, and it helps. It really helps to develop a great line of communication between all the different departments within our organization. So, property operations is something that I really respect. It's a grind. It's a hard part of the business. So, as leader of the construction team, we want to be able to provide as much support for them on site as possible, and communication is a big part of that.
Yeah, so, huge. So you talk about construction. Your current title is the VP of Construction for Madera Residential. Tell us generally about your team and kind of what you guys do, and then we can, delve into the weeds here in a little bit, but just kind of give us an overview.
Well, I have to say, I've got to thank Gary Hall for, allowing me to flourish in this position. I didn't come into this position with a lot of construction, a big construction, heavy construction background. What I could provide is like we talked about earlier, just wearing a bunch of different hats in this industry. And when I was in property operations, I did oversee a lot of renovations as well. So, which I translate to this role. Yeah. I think I'm again, Gary has taught me a lot on the construction side, and has allowed me to kind of be myself and grow this team to where it is today. And I do want to touch on my team because it's important that I wouldn't be successful. We wouldn't be successful without them. So.
Yeah, lead us through a little bit of who else is on your team and what you guys what they kind of do.
So we brought Cody Boggs in, and that was a huge a huge asset to this department. She comes with a lot of experience on the operations side. She's done renovations through through the operations side as well. So brought her in to really help on the initially on the interior renovations, and she's flourished into a really somebody who oversees not only the interior renovation aspect but also the planning and design of where we want to go with a particular project, a property.
Yeah, very nice.
So she's ahead of all the trends that are out there. So we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of the curve, because we're holding these assets now a little bit longer, and so these got to last for 5 to 7 years or however long that we underwrite them for. So we want to make sure we're ahead of the game and ahead of our competition. So she's done a really good job of finding those new trends and
Nice.
new ideas and incorporating those in our interior and exteriors as well. Under her, we have 2 interior renovation managers, project managers that are our boots on the ground.
Okay.
Incredible women. And Stephanie Crane is in Houston. She's based in Houston, and she's doing a phenomenal job. And then we have Cheryl Zering, and she is just came on board back in, I think it was in June, and has really hit the ground running. She's got great operational experience as well, and so both of them have been tremendous assets to us. I mean, over the last call it 10 months in 2021, we've been able to renovate 450 units across our portfolio, over 11 properties. That roughly comes with, if I plug in about $12,000 a unit on the interiors, that's I'd say that's an average between all 11 properties. That's about a $5.4 million budget.
Wow.
If I were to say that we had a $150 rent bump and I annualized that and put a cap rate of a 4.5%, I don't know, that might be a little low or high. I don't, I'm not on the acquisition side anymore. So, but I mean, that's value creation of about $18 million. So,
that's impressive.
Yeah, in just 2021. So
yeah,
we're
that's
not even
impressive.
done yet. So, but it's very impressive, and I have to commend Cody and as well as her team, Cheryl and Stephanie. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. You talked about the renovations a little bit and some of the different things you guys do. From kind of start to finish with the property, what is the general kind of flow of how you guys take care of things?
So we want to get on the interiors as quickly as possible so that we can start creating value. I mean, the way I pride ourselves in as value creators, right? So we go in and we want to renovate the interiors and start as quickly as possible so that we're able to turn those units, and our on-site team has an opportunity to sell those or lease those at a premium.
Yeah.
That's how we create value. But another way that we do another aspect to our renovation is obviously the exteriors, and we just made a phenomenal hire, Jacob McFadden, who's our director of exterior renovation, who has really hit the ground running, and I mean, we've got 17 projects underway. So, and out of those 17 projects in 2021, he's overseeing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So he's overseeing 14 properties.
Yeah,
so,
that's super impressive
on the exterior side. So it's an incredible opportunity to have him on board with us, and he comes from the GC world, but he also has a phenomenal technology mind, and so we're trying to streamline a lot of our processes, and he's helped revamp our due diligence on the exterior side, so that we're catching a little bit more of that deferred maintenance when we're kicking the tires during due diligence.
Let me start there real quick, stop you there real quick, just because I think that's an important term we use in Madera residential that I'm not sure everybody always understands. What is due diligence?
The easiest thing, the way that I can describe it is it's our opportunity to kick the tires and look under the hood and ensure the asset that we're buying is
Yeah.
what it looks like on paper. And
Yeah.
for my position and my job, I want to make sure that we're well capitalized going into these assets and make sure that, if there's a roof leak or a roof issue, or if there's some balcony issues or any kind of life safety issues, that we have the capital to correct those before we just put all our money into the interiors. We don't want, the property falling apart, but we're putting all our money into the interiors. That's just going to create a headache on long term, especially on the operations side, as they're having to plug holes, literally, figuratively and literally. So we want to go in and we want to correct those deferred maintenance items up front, so that as the life cycle and the investment continues, we're not spending money on things we should have corrected up front.
Sure.
That's the goal. That's the goal of our due diligence, is to find those areas of concern that we might not see, on a drive-by or on a property tour with a broker. So it's really our opportunity to kick the tires. And on the operations side, I mean, they're looking at lease files and rent rolls and tick and tying to ensure that people are still actually living there. And it's not just on paper. So I mean, that's a huge process. It takes a team to get done. We've got the Project Octagon coming up, and it's an 8-property portfolio that we're going to have to hit the ground running, and the due diligence is going to be a huge aspect of that. And they're older properties, so it's going to require a little bit more of that under the hood peeking. So
there's so much risk management that goes into the due diligence piece.
Absolutely, and so. Going back to my team, I do want to bring in, the other aspects of other associates within our organization or within our department. David Davis, he's been with the organization for quite some time, and I don't know how many years, but he's really somebody who's travels a lot, and he goes out and identifies any life safety issues on the property, any issues that we need to address that are ongoing. That's something, we might go through a major exterior renovation, but over time there's going to be, some things that especially on older property that fail. And so he's out there on a consistent basis walking properties, ensuring that we are compliant on our paperwork and on the maintenance side as well, and risk management. So huge asset to our team as well, as well as on the operations side. And so definitely, and he also helps to close out any lender required repairs as well. So when we buy a property or we refinance a property, the lender will have a property condition assessment done by a third party, and they usually come back with some deferred maintenance items that are prioritized. These are immediate repairs that you have to take care of, or critical repairs that you have to take care of in 90 days. Here's a list of lower priority items that you need to correct in 180 or 360 days. And so he goes out and checklists that as well. That falls into our overall rehab budget. So huge asset to us. And then we have Matt Elliott, who came on board this year, who's kind of a cross from operations and as well as on the construction side, but really helps. He comes with a tremendous amount of knowledge on MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, especially now that we're buying newer assets that have elevator cabs and a little bit more. He comes from the office world, and so he has that knowledge on the MEP side that is very valuable, especially on these newer assets. And so he's been very valuable to our organization as well. And then we've got two rehab accountants, Glenda Sowell and Tracy Hawley. Both are tremendous hard workers, and they really are the ones that report to the bank, and when we do our draw processes, they're able to put these draw packages together, and that is a very, very hard process to go through
Sure.
because as a lender, they are wanting to know everything, every dollar that we're spending. So you have to back that up with an invoice, and then you have to back that up with a proof of payment and a lien waiver in the event that it's over. There's certain thresholds for each lender. Let's just say $10,000.
Yeah.
So she's got to go and get each rehab account has to go and get those lien waivers, and then we submit those draws on a monthly basis. We can get reimbursed for the money that we've spent, and so. Most of the time, a bank is holding that money, and so they'll reimburse us. So it's important that we get out in front of that on a regular basis, so we're not cash strapped,
right?
And we're not holding any money back that we're not paying our vendors. So it's a very, very important process for both of those ladies that are incredible at their job. And then we are just now hiring, who starts on Monday, so she'll be able to see this podcast, I think, Michelle Meredith, and she'll be filling in the role as a construction admin. So
cool.
It's going to really help to keep us organized and keep us well communicated, not only within our department, but with each department, acquisitions, asset management, and operations on site. So.
One of my favorite things about the way that you've been speaking about your team, and I hope that the companies as a whole are starting to see this, and that is just like this understanding of it is team. Like there may be different levels of hierarchy, but even the way you've said it is, it's like these people are filling gaps and they're doing things that we can't all do. We need everybody working together.
Absolutely, and it's not just my team, and it's not just the construction department. It's our entire organization, and being able to be fluid and communicative to one another, that's the key, that's the goal. We're not just one department working with another department. We are cohesive, and we have to be in order to be successful. So that's important, and I have to credit my team because I wouldn't be successful without them. So it's a testament to them and their hard work, and so I'm very grateful that they're on board.
That's cool. Now let's transition here just a little bit because you've mentioned the renovations. You've mentioned the different projects you guys are doing. You've mentioned the different cash numbers and different things like that, even though they were just kind of for example. But like, where does the money kind of budgeting come from in order to tackle these projects to add the value that you're looking for?
So that starts on the forefront, and that starts with our acquisitions team, and that is based in Frisco. So we work hand in hand on developing budgets.
Okay.
And so it really is underwritten into the deal, and so that's it. That's where we want to make sure that we're adding enough capital baking enough capital into the deal,
right?
That we feel confident that we're buying the deal for this, but total cost of the deal is going to be much higher than that because you're adding in your rehab costs and things associated with that. So. Say we're buying a property for $25 million, but we're putting in, $8 million in rehab. So your total cost is going to be $33 million.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to come up with, and so obviously that affects your returns. But I think we want to be overcapitalized when we go into deals, just so that we are sure that we're going to catch some of those deferred items that we might not catch on due diligence. I mean, we only have a day on property. We try and get through because we want to minimize any disruption on the seller and their team. So we try and get in and out as quickly as possible, but also we need to cover as much that we can so we're well prepared. So to answer your question, it starts at the front, and we've got a great acquisitions team led by Tina. And she's been incredible, not only with the acquisitions team but also the asset management team to help push some of these projects forward as well.
Right. That's excellent. I was thinking as you were talking there, you've given us a great look at how your department kind of works with so many different others, and then you said it earlier, and I already know this about you. I mean, you have a great respect for an on-site property team and how they work together. So, and I didn't necessarily prep you for this question, but I'll throw it out there anyways. Tell me a little bit about what it's like on property when you're doing something to rehab a property or help with and working with those people. And we've already kind of talked about like their job is hard. Like it's a big deal what they're doing. And so you throw on the complexity of you guys kind of coming in and What's that like?
We want to provide as much support as possible for the on-site team because every day is a different day.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and I've got to commend our on-site team. I've got to commend Casey and Katie for coaching up these teams, and so we want to be as supportive as possible, and we want to provide the best product for them so they can do their job and sell and lease apartments and create value. I mean,
right.
We can give them the product, but they're the ones who have to sell it,
Yeah.
right? So we're only doing as much as we can do. It all of the work, it comes now on site. And so communication is huge. That's something that we're really working on, that we're always going to continue to work on, because I want everybody to be well aware of what's going on their property. A property manager is the CEO of that property, so they need
right.
to know everything that's going on for them to be successful. So communication is key. So we're trying to develop digital booklets that within this industry, especially on site, there's a lot of turnover, and luckily we work for a great company that try and minimize that as best as possible. But we want to make sure that if there is a new manager, that they know exactly what projects are in place, where we are in the timeline of the project. So we're getting better at that. That's something that my goal is in 2022, is to provide a seamless means for a property manager or an area manager, all the way up to Casey, to understand exactly, or Katie, to the VPs of operations, to understand exactly where we are in the rehab process. And
yeah.
They're not getting blown up by calls from managers saying, "Hey, no one's swinging hammers today. Where is everybody?" They know exactly where they should know exactly where we stand on that, so that can free up Katie and Casey's time to be able to add value in other ways than
yeah.
doing so.
Yeah, no, and it is. I've been on property enough to know, man. It is a big job. So
I mean, dealing with the residents and it's a hard job in itself. So it's all about customer service. We are in the customer service business,
right?
And so we want to minimize as much disruption as possible, so that they can continue to do the job on site.
Man, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and kind of give us insight into your team. Is there anything else you want to kind of throw in here at the end?
No, well, first of all, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure, and it's been a pleasure talking about my team. But it's been a pleasure just to be a part of this organization. I'm coming up on 3 years now, and just to see the growth on all aspects of this organization. It's just incredible over these last 3 years. So, and beyond. I mean, the sky's the limit right now. So, I'm just truly excited of where we're heading, and not only in this department, but as a company as a whole. So.
Yeah, well, it is fun, and I'm excited about kind of where we're headed. And as to you guys who've been watching and kind of joining us in this conversation, I hope you're seeing that we want to be a leadership that cares for our people and are as supportive of the employees as we've got. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you again to Josh for having been with us. And we will have another episode for you next week. We'll jump into a few other departments and with a few other leaders. So you guys have a great day.